Premiums, premiums, premiums. They seem to be going down a little bit, but has it been a little too slow? Let's find out why.
Stacking Cat.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Stacking Cat channel, and thank you all for watching. If you're new here and would like to see videos about silver with a little bit of gold, then please subscribe, and if you enjoy what you see, then smash that like button and share this video. And so premiums, premiums, premiums. It is definitely something that affects all of us as silver stackers and precious metal stackers in general. And it's something that we all have to be cognizant of when we go to make our purchases of our silver and our gold and whatever it may be. And they are still relatively high to where they have been in the past. They have gone down a little bit, but it has been a lot slower than I'm sure a lot of us would like to see. And I'm going to try to get into this video why that may be. I researched a few different sites to kind of go over the silver supply and demand as it is in 2020 compared to past years, and why it may be even going into the future, into 2021, at a little bit higher of a level. But before I get started, actually maybe comment down below what your guys' take has been on the premiums over this past year. We're at the end of 2020. We're in December of 2020, and premiums a few months ago were extremely high, especially at the beginning of the summer, at the end of the spring, when this global crisis hit. And it's affected all of us in many ways. And as silver stackers, as precious metal investors, definitely it has affected us in that regard. So yeah, down in the comments below, maybe let us all know how you've been impacted by the premiums. Are you buying less silver? Are you buying less of the standard stuff like the Canadian maple leaves, or, you know, some of the Britannias, whatever it may be, where the premiums have been higher than they have been in recent years, and how it's impacted your stack in that regard. And so let's get into that then. Why are premiums still high? And to get a little bit of context, I did go back and checked out a year ago at this time, so December of 2019, and even into January of 2020, on different prices that I paid on a lot of these silver coins that you see out here. I do have showing or out on display a lot of the higher mintage government bullion coins, as you can see. But I think these were the coins that were impacted the most. And so I wanted to kind of see where American Silver Eagles were at this time. So I went to SD Bullion, where I purchased quite a few of these 2020s. As you can see, I have a tube right here, and that was one of my goals going into 2020, was stacking a tube of the current year. And at the time, remember, this is January, and even into February, there was no expectation of any type of silver market volatility and this illness which has gripped the globe. So that was not a consideration. And I was able to buy a lot of these online at premiums around $319, $329, somewhere in there when it came to these American Silver Eagles. Luckily, I was able to stack this tube pretty fast before March. So before any of the ridiculous premiums hit, when they were going for $10 or $12 for your Eagles, and when the 2020s were just really hard to find. So I lucked out in that regard, but it did kind of show me, let's get that sealed back up. It did show me just how the premium game has changed. So like I said, a little bit over $3 per American Silver Eagle, just BU grade, nothing fancy. But other coins, like this Philharmonic, I stacked a tube of these at the beginning of the year, and I noticed that SD Bullion was doing a special where they were anywhere between $1.49 up through $1.89, maybe $1.99 at the highest for these 2020 Philharmonics. And it's even tough to find a generic for that price at this point. You can see a lot of milk spotting in there, but yeah, even generics like the Buffaloes, the Aztec calendars are going around $2 over spot. And a lot of that had to do with the recent Black Friday and Cyber Monday and Cyber Week deals that a lot of the online bullion sites were putting on. So I haven't checked the prices on all the generics recently, but I know they're a lot higher. I know that the 2021 Philharmonic is out now, and its premium is closing in on the $3 range. So I'd say on average for all of these silver coins out here, the premium is about $1 higher. Now you might say, come on, Kat, $1, that's nothing. But it actually adds up, because if you look at here, I brought out 2 tubes of American Silver Eagles and 2 tubes of Canadian Maple Leafs. And so that's 90 1-ounce silver coins there. If you're paying $1 on average more, that's $90. So that's really going to impact your dollar cost averaging and just your overall bottom line. I mean, who couldn't use 90 extra dollars, especially when it's just going into premiums? And I have to put a little caveat out there. It's not the online dealer's fault. They are just adapting to the market as it is, to the supply and demand that I'm about to go over with you guys. And really the reason why that the premiums are still high, and they probably will be in the future. So at the beginning of this whole global health crisis, there was a lot of talk throughout the community and just throughout silver stackers in general that the online bullion dealers were price gouging. Now, a lot of it, their supply was low, demand was super high as the economy was really in free fall across the globe. Now, I don't know if I buy specifically into them actually price gouging, but the premiums were out of line. Let's be honest. They're out of accordance with a lot of what we've seen in the past. And so, I don't know, more than likely they're just protecting themselves by charging a little bit more. Now, we haven't seen the big premiums on the Eagles in, I don't know, if probably since the summertime, I'd have to say. But even on AppMex, and I'll bring up findingbullionprices.com right now, all the different American Silver Eagle prices on some of the main sites. So the cheapest is Silver Gold Bull, where they are, let's see, $366 over spot. Let's see, SD Bullion out of the major bullion sites is the cheapest at $380. JM Bullion, $442. And then, of course, you go down to AppMex, where it is $653. And you can see some of the others in between, like Monument Metals and a few of those. So the premium, as you can see on these sites, is still over $350. It's pretty close to where it was at this time last year on some of the sites. However, at this time last year, all the sites, you would not find an American Silver Eagle for anything over $350, even on AppMex, which is known to be higher priced, or their premiums are higher, and their inventory is phenomenal, but their premiums are higher. And even there, it was not $653 over spot. So something to take into consideration is just kind of the overall pricing of the premiums from all these different online bullion sites. Now, I do not have any reference to any coin shops, because a lot of the coin shops are really specific to where you may be. One coin shop might be selling Eagles for like $250 over spot, and you say, oh, that's a great deal. What are you talking about, Kat? I'm still getting these at the same price. But somebody else might have one of their LCSs going for, who knows, $5 over spot. So the online bullion dealers are the best reference, as I think they do typify the overall price structure in the space of buying physical precious metals. And so, as I mentioned earlier, before I got into this little rant or this little discussion about where prices are now compared to then, I did want to go over a lot of the silver supply and demand, because that has a big impact of what we're going to see going into 2021 and what we've seen so far in 2020. And so I will also put a link to every article and every piece of research that I went to all the different websites where I was able to get all of this information. And so let's talk about 2019 versus 2020. I think those 2 years really kind of show why premiums are where they're at. So let's go into the supply first. Mine production in 2019 was 836.5 million ounces compared to 2020, where it was 797.8 million. So a decrease of 5%. Now, this was pretty easy to figure out. A lot of the mines in the bigger silver producing countries like Mexico and Peru were temporarily suspended when this global health crisis hit. And so they weren't producing anything. Nothing was being mined out of the ground. And that led to a shorter supply of silver. So scrap silver, and this one is pretty close. In 2019, there was 169.9 million ounces of scrap that went into the overall silver supply. And this year, 2020, it was 169.4 million. So only a difference of about 500,000, minus 0.3% overall amount of silver that was scrapped. And so that is, if you go back and you sell whatever it may be, even the junk silver, the 90%, a lot of these places, sometimes it's beneficial to them economically, financially, to just scrap it. And of course, in many other ways, industrial silver is 50% on the market. So a lot of used items get scrapped too. So that goes into that as well. Now, something else is what is known as the net hedging supply, which is a very important factor and where I think a lot of these dealers are looking at. And so what the net hedging supply is that it acts as futures in the market, and the different mining companies use it as a way to hedge their production in the event the silver price drops. So they'll buy a lot of futures of whatever silver may be at a certain price, knowing what they're probably going to produce or what they are anticipating on producing. And that goes into the overall silver supply because it is expected to be there. And this has been a relatively stable amount, really no impact on the overall supply over the last 10 years or so. But except for 2015 was a bit of an outlier. And it was also a year of higher premiums, as that was the year where I believe silver dipped under $15 an ounce for the first time since the Great Recession of 2008, or I believe since it went up into the $40 to $50 range in 2011. So it took about 4 years and it dipped back under $15. And because of that, a lot of the mining companies decided to hold off on buying futures. But this year, 2020, of course, they knew they would not have the production that they would have. And so less futures were sold into the market. And this is what is known as DHedging and also contributes to the overall silver supply. And this went down 36% from 2019. So in 2019, it was 15.7 million ounces of silver were bought in the futures market as a net hedge. 2020, it was only 10 million. So that is a large amount. And it could explain why the dealers are hesitant on lowering their premiums back to pre-2020 or pre-March of 2020 is a more accurate timeline from going back to those prices that they had before, where you were getting maples for maybe $2 to $2.50 over spot. You were getting eagles for whatever it was, $3 to $3.50 over spot, even less than that in certain occasions or certain circumstances. So I think the dealers are very weary of the whole net hedging supply, dropping 36%. That is a lot. And we have not seen anything like it. Even in 2015, which I mentioned earlier, it only dropped 2.2%. So that is a major difference. And I will have links, like I said, to everything I'm talking about down below if you guys want to go ahead and read any of these reports. The silver supply report is 104 pages, I believe. And so I just wanted to go in and kind of check out everything that affects us as physical silver stackers. but there's a lot of detail, a lot of stuff in there. And like I mentioned before, I'm not a financial advisor or I am not a market expert, but it is pretty easy to kind of decipher as to why these premiums are going higher. So that's what I wanted to bring to you guys to just let you know why you may thinking, why are these premiums still high enough to where it may offset whatever your goals, whatever your strategies are, as it is important to be strategic when you're stacking silver because the overall price, the dollar cost average that you end up paying, when it comes down to it, you want your greatest return or your biggest return on investment as possible. And so dollar cost averaging premiums are a part of that. And so this period of time, when things, I'm hoping in the future, they will forecast to drop down again. And you could maybe dollar cost average that way if you own a lot of silver that you did get at lower prices. But as of right now, just with the premiums, that's going to raise it up there a little bit. And so a few more things. Let's get into the total demand of it all. And in that context, I will talk about silver bar and coin investors, like most of us, like myself, and a lot of you out there watching this video. So the total supply from 2019 was 1.023 billion. And this year it is 978.1 million, which is a drop of 4%, which doesn't seem astronomical until you get into the demand. So the demand for silver in 2019 was 18.2% of the total supply. And in 2020, it is 22.1%. So that is a greater amount. As you can see, the demand is up. The dealers, I'm sure, are very nervous when it comes to selling what they have, knowing that if they run out and the demand is still there, how it could end up affecting their bottom line. And I try to kind of convey this to everybody out there because it's hard to think of it in these terms because we want the best prices possible. But these are businesses. They are in the business of selling physical precious metals to make money. And if they aren't able to do that, they're not going to be able to sell their precious metals. So the demand is higher, the supply is lower. So what can you do as a stacker to kind of avoid these large premiums and maybe lower that dollar cost average during this time? And any quantity pricing is a great way to go. If you're out there, I know these new Armenian Noah's Arks, which is a beautiful coin, by the way. The 2021s, I believe, are now on sale. And a few weeks ago, they had any quantity pricing on some of those. So you might be able to find those a little bit cheaper, as well as the Philharmonics. And you could find them, everywhere eventually, just as long as you do a little bit of digging. And maybe I'll try to focus that on my next weekly deal show this coming Tuesday, December 15th. I'll try to go over some of the any quantity deals as well as just the weekly deals that they put out there. Maybe to help you guys take advantage of that and find a better price for whatever the silver bullion that you are looking to purchase. All right, so I hope this discussion was helpful. I just wanted to get to the bottom of things, or at least get to the bottom of things in the best way that I was able to. Like I said, I'm not an expert in any of these matters, but I am a silver stacker here on YouTube, and I want the best price for myself too. And so I want the best prices for you guys out there. It's really important how much you pay for this stuff. So if that's the case, I hope that you guys were able to get a little something out of this video. And if you'd like to see similar videos about silver with a little bit of gold, then please subscribe and push that notification bell, smash that like button, and leave a comment. And until next time, this is the Stacking Cat.